Today we're going to be discussing my bread and butter mouthpiece as of the past year and some number of months. Since then, I have used it for about 90% of my playing. We're going to be talking about what it is, why it works for me, whether it might not work for you, how it works, all that stuff and more. So today, the Vincent Bach Megatone 1.5A. This mouthpiece has a number of interesting features. For instance, the Megatone construction entails that there's a lot of extra mass here. No, the cup does not go all the way down to the bottom, that would be absurd. But this extra mass creates, a little bit tighter slots for the notes so they feel less ambiguous when you hit them. It works for certain players, it works for certain styles of music, and not for others. Beyond that, this mouthpiece comes with a screw-on rim. You don't see that on many mouthpieces, but that is, I suppose, a nifty feature in case you want to buzz on just the rim, as some players advise doing. I still have to experiment with it a bit more. I'm not qualified to speak on the topic at all. But yeah, I'd like to point out that you shouldn't count on being able to just go on Mouthpiece Express, go on eBay, etc., and find a 1.5A in a Megatone configuration with this screw-on rim. It's really quite a rare mouthpiece. This seems to have been a custom design that somebody just dropped on eBay for $60 because they didn't want it anymore. But wow, that is a good deal for a mouthpiece like this. So I swooped it up as soon as I saw it on eBay all those many months ago. The 1.5A is not listed formally on the Vincent Bach catalog as one of their official mouthpiece sizes. It's interesting to think about. Of course, you have the 1.5C, you have the 1.5B, which is a little bit deeper, but the 1.5A, the deepest of all, doesn't formally exist. So it's kind of a rare mouthpiece. Right, so we've talked about the A cup, meaning that it's a little bit deeper than your normal C cup. What about the 1.5? Well, that denotes the inner diameter of the mouthpiece. On a 1.5 size mouthpiece, on the Bach scale, it should theoretically be 17 millimeters right on the dot, whereas a 3C will be anywhere between, 16.3 and 16.6, and a 7C might be in the ballpark of 16 millimeters. The issue with Bach mouthpieces is that you get almost as much variation within each size as between sizes, so it's tough to say for sure, but this feels right around where other 17 millimeter mouthpieces I've tried feel. So I think it's about 17 millimeters. We're going to say that for the purposes of this discussion. 17 millimeters, it's pretty beefy. That extra depth makes the total cup volume quite large. The throat is just a standard 26, nothing remarkable there. The backbore, on the other hand, is not the standard. The A cup model Bach mouthpieces actually use a symphonic number 24 backbore, which has a little bit more open spread, and it's better for, understandably, symphonic playing, where you want your sound to spread a little bit more, whereas with something like playing lead in a jazz band, you would want it to really cut through, you'd want it to be more focused, and in general, you would want to have a tighter backbore for those purposes. So those are the general specifications. Now something about how it plays. A big part of why I use this mouthpiece and why I've been using it for quite a long time instead of jumping around like I've often done is because it really accentuates the lower overtones in your sound. Like I said, the inner diameter is quite wide, the cup is quite deep, the total cup volume is pretty large compared to what a lot of players play on, and that's simply because my low register sucks and I need something that'll help me out a little bit there. So low notes feel very open, very clear. The out-of-tune ones feel quite malleable, as in you can sort of blow the pitch into tune pretty easily on a large mouthpiece like this. That's a big part of the reason why I use it. Now, this is an orchestral mouthpiece, to make a bit of a generalization there. I don't know if I'd recommend this in a jazz scenario, but of course, this excels in orchestral settings because it gives you that nice roundness of sound that orchestral players desire, and it doesn't really detract from your high register that you will need to play up there. I mean, you heard me scream on this mouthpiece. It works almost as well as my state-of-the-art lead mouthpiece. So there's really not a huge difference. The sound is a little bit more spread, not as focused as you would want on a lead mouthpiece, but for a symphonic player who isn't really going to be playing above high D or E, as an Alpine symphony, as I'll demonstrate, it works really well. Middle register has a lot of core. It's just made to be in an orchestral setting, and I've been using it to its advantage in the youth symphony. Another big reason I prefer deeper cups and wider diameters is the dynamic and tonal palette. For me, that's what works best. When I play softly, like the Brahms Academic Festival Overture excerpt, it has a nice, warm, mellow, round sound. It doesn't sound pinched or nasally, as I've felt on some mouthpieces. It's as warm as I can reasonably attain, which, take my playing and my words with a grain of salt. But when I step on the gas and really push with my air, it's not as blatty as you get on a lot of mouthpieces. And of course, that's the deeper cup and the wide diameter contribute to that. It's not the only factor, but I like to be able to play fortissimo, like in Alpine Symphony, and still be able to attain an okay sound. I'd like to make a quick word on playing mouthpieces like this. It takes quite a lot of discipline, and I got this originally to help with my low register, and it has helped with my low register a little bit, not too much, but it has forced me to play more efficiently, more relaxed in a lot of ways. Playing big mouthpieces can be a strain on you, and you will be tempted when you pick it up to tighten for the high notes, and you'll sound a bit like this. You don't want to sound like that. So it's playing large mouthpieces is really about keeping your corners tight, keeping your air fast and consistent and warm. The sound will be a lot better that way on a larger mouthpiece. It may take a while to find the center of the notes at first. I'm still working on centering, as you can tell, but for me, large mouthpieces have really taught me how to play efficiently, how to keep my corners locked down and the aperture as open as reasonably possible. So it's not for everybody, but it's for me, and it might be for you. I think that just about wraps up my discussion of the Megatone 1.5A. Remember, you can't expect to just waltz into your local music store and pick one of these up. This is usually going to be a custom order, maybe something you'll find on eBay. I recommend checking out the 1.5B as well, as that's a little bit more of a mainstream size that you'll be able to find on sites like Mouthpiece Express if that's what you use. This isn't for everybody. It really isn't. And if it's possible in any way, shape, or form, try before you buy. But for me, this has really worked in almost every scenario I've played in, minus extreme lead playing and like piccolo trumpet, and I think it's worth checking out if you're into large diameters or deeper cups. Hope you enjoyed.